Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle and I am currently narrating a story time of my former friend being in the occult. In the previous video, I basically wrapped up the entire story time, but in this video, I want to talk about the takeaways that I learned from my friendship with Ruby and how I knew that she was in the occult. So, here it goes. So I'm going to start off with the obvious. While I was friends with Ruby, it was obvious that she was a monitoring spirit. She wanted to know everything I had going on in my life. She was very invested into my life. So I knew that, but I didn't understand why. Didn't know why she wanted to know so much of what I had going on. Now, this was the big telltale sign that she was in the occult. After my father passed away in January 2021, her mom came to visit me. While her mom, came over, she was basically consoling me, encouraging me. And then we started praying. And then while in prayer, she asked me to get an anointing oil. By the time I came back, she was already anointing my apartment. And I thought that was weird. What I realized, y'all, Ruby's mom anointing my apartment, the oil that she used was not anointing oil. What she was doing was that she was trying to keep tabs on me. So that oil basically was surveillance oil. So while I was living in my apartment, y'all, Ruby's mom was keeping tabs on me. That was why she knew I was home all day on Sundays. That was why she knew when I got back from Jersey. And I'm like, how did she know all of this? Yeah, y'all. Ruby's mom was the OG monitoring spirit. So when I asked Ruby for rent money and she said, hey, can I tell my mom? She's always asking about you. Y'all, she was reporting me to her mom. That was why she told her mom. So basically, the stuff I would tell Ruby, she would basically report that information back to her mom. So once I got all of that information, I'm like, oh, Ruby's mom, for her to do that, she's in the occult. So Ruby is in the occult because her mom initiated her into it. And also to another thing that I forgot to mention. Y'all, when I was living in my apartment, Hidden Valley, I remember seeing like dark shadows. Like I can be watching TV and I'll see like a dark shadow pass by and I'll just turn around and I wouldn't see it. There was also times where my lights would be turned off. So I was someone who I would leave my bathroom light on for the entire day. I remember there was one day I was cooking in the kitchen and I looked at the bottom of my bathroom door. My light was turned off. And I'm like, why is my lights turned off? Like, I know I left that light on. So yeah, lights would be turned off. I remember having dreams of people coming into my house, like strangers. I would have dreams of my door being unlocked. I remember I had one dream where my doorknob was completely removed. So anybody could have like put their hand through my door and come into my apartment. So I would have a lot of dreams like that. So yeah, y'all, my apartment was tapped. Ruby's mom, she put that anointing oil, which wasn't anointing oil, it was surveillance oil to keep tabs on me. And it made sense why I had to leave that apartment. So if you didn't watch An Unlikely Story, I got evicted from my apartment. I had to leave. So once I got the information that apartment was tapped and, I had to leave, I'm like, okay, it made sense. It made sense why I couldn't stay in that apartment anymore because it was tapped. Now, you may be saying to yourself, okay, Adriel, why would she want to monitor you? Why would she use Ruby to monitor you? Like, what was the end goal? So the end goal, y'all, was really to destroy my destiny. I don't know if she wanted to destroy the destiny by initiating me or by sacrificing me into the occult. I don't know what she was trying to do, but the goal was to destroy my destiny. This was why Ruby was asking me questions. Do you want to get married by the age of 20? I meant to say 30. Why are you asking me those questions? That was why all those gifts that Ruby, tried to send to me for my birthday, like, y'all, they knew what they were doing. They both were demonic. And also, too, and let me add to that. March 2023, I had a dream about Ruby's mom. In the dream, y'all, she was evil. Now, mind you, at this time, I had already cut Ruby off, but I had a dream of Ruby's mom being like this pimp madam, and she was just out here being evil to people. So that was further confirmation that I needed to stay away from Ruby and her family. Also, another thing, too, Ruby visiting my apartment, y'all, that was her being sent on assignment. And I remember after she would visit my apartment, that's when I would have sleep paralysis and all these other stuff, y'all. Ruby's mom was using Ruby to accomplish whatever demonic activity she wanted to accomplish. I also want to talk about me and Ruby's outings. Anytime I would go out to eat with Ruby, she would always want me to use my card and then she would pay me back. I thought that was weird from the beginning, y'all. I didn't understand that until later on. So basically what Ruby was doing was that she would want me to pay and then she would pay me back. Her pay me back was her way of having an access point to me. So that's what witches, people who are into divination, sorcery, like the occult, that's what they do. So whenever they want to do things to a person, they need an access point. So that's why a lot of like witches or diviners, they will give gifts. They will tell you to give them something that's of yours. Like, oh, let me borrow your sweater. They would always want to have this type of access point to you. So if I was always paying for the dinners and lunches and she was paying me back by, sending me money to my bank account, that was an access point. So it could have been a situation where she wanted to come against my finances, or whatever. So the reason why she was always wanting me to pay and then she would pay me back is because she was using that or trying to use that as an access point. Another thing that she did that was very interesting was she was talking to me about the guy that she was dating, which was very kind of surprising to me at the time because I noticed that in a lot of our conversations, she would want me to be the focus. She wouldn't really tell her business. Well, I realized with her, the reason why she was telling me about the guy was because she wanted me to compete with her. Now, let me explain this to you. So I realized she wanted to do this. Actually, it was while I was recording the story time that I realized that was what she was doing. I got that revelation right away because she was telling me about her guy. And even before she was telling me about her guy, she was already getting irritated that I had no interest in dating before getting a job. Like, I don't think you understand, y'all. She was so annoyed to the point where she was like, oh, Adriel, that's dumb. Like, that's stupid. I'm like, why is she so irritated that I don't want to date before getting a job? And then, she's telling me about her guy and she wanted me to compete with her, y'all. And she was frustrated that I wasn't giving into the competition because that's the things that she would do in her friend circle. Tiana and all those other girls that she was friends with, they would compete with one another. They would gossip about one another. And y'all, I'm not that type of person. I don't care to compete with my friends. I don't want to compete with my friends. I want to support them. I do not want to gossip about my friends. I want the best for them. So she was kind of getting irritated, like why I wasn't giving in. Because I don't care about that. I don't look at relationships as a competition. If my friend is in a relationship, I am happy for her. Now, if it's a bad relationship, of course, I'm going to tell her like, okay, this guy's a negative influence on you. This is not it. But to compete, like, our lives are different. What I like is different from what you like. And that was the reason why when I brought up about Brandon early on, she had an attitude. She didn't say like nice things. But when she talked about Kevin, she was so open and wanted me to like engage in the conversation because this whole competition thing, I don't compete with my friends. So those are kind of the things I figured out about Ruby, her moving to Texas, her, doing all these things with her competing with Tiana, her friend. Yeah, I don't move like that. So even if Ruby wasn't in the occult, y'all, our friendship wasn't going to work out because we were two totally different people. I remember I had the dream that my mom told me that she was jealous of me. Ruby was jealous of me because she's a jealous person. She's jealous of people. So yeah, the friendship wasn't going to work out. So that was basically what I learned about Ruby and her mom, that they both were demonic. And later on in the Likely Story, season 6, Ruby and her mom, they do pop up, y'all. So you do want to tune in to season 6 of the Likely Story. So yeah, that's the end of my story time. Now, I do want to say this, y'all. The character Mercedes, she comes back later on in the story. Way later on. So you want to make sure you tune into the Likely Story. So if you are liking the Likely Story, y'all, if you're liking my story times, if you're liking my videos, please like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share my videos as well. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about basically a recap of season 5 in the Likely Story. And then I'm going to go into season 6. So until next time, y'all. Bye.